Okay, so usually when I do a webcam review, I not only talk about the video quality, but I also talk about the audio quality from the built-in microphone and autofocus. But not this time, because this webcam, the Elgato Facecam, does not have either of those two things. Now, why is that? Well, that's because Elgato is a company that does make their products more geared towards content creators and streamers. And typically, we're not going to be using the built-in microphone on a webcam. We're going to be using an external microphone. And then also too, no matter how good autofocus has gotten over the years with webcams, they still do sometimes have issues with hunting, and also too just trying to adapt to different lighting conditions. So just a heads up, this camera does not have those two things, but what it does have is really great video quality, but I'll show that to you in a second. But what do you get with it? Well, inside of the box, you get the webcam itself, and then also too, you get a USB-C to USB Type A cable, which is pretty long, longer than your typical cable coming from a webcam, and it is detachable. So if you are traveling with it, you don't have to worry about it getting damaged or bent up because it's permanently attached to your webcam. You can just take this thing off and you're good to go. Now, you do want to make sure you do plug this into a USB 3.0 port because it is going to be sending uncompressed video over to your computer. So you want to make sure you're using 3.0 or higher to make sure you get the best performance. Now, of course, this does come with a mount to place this on top of your monitor. And this mount will allow you to be able to rotate the camera left and right. And also you can tilt it forward and backwards to get the right angle. Now, if you want to place this on top of something like a tripod, you can do that. Just unscrew that mount, and then now you can just place it on your typical tripod plate or whatever, and then now you can get more mobile and just get more angles. And the last thing will be a privacy cap that will allow you to have that peace of mind when you aren't using your webcam. Just place that on there and things go dark. All right, so enough about what comes inside of the box. Now let's talk about how you use this thing. Well, the first thing you need to do is download the Camera Hub software, which is available for both Mac and PC. And once you get this downloaded, just go ahead and open that up, plug in your webcam, and then now I'm gonna maximize this and hit enable preview, and then boom, here we go. We got the image coming from the webcam. Now, one thing you will notice is that my microphone is in the shot, but because we can tilt this down, I can get a better angle just like that. Now, you can also use the zoom inside of the software to be able to mess around with the framing, so you can zoom in and out and go like that if you wanted to. Now, as far as the controls, you have a lot of those same controls that you'll find with like a DSLR camera. So on the left here, you have the zoom as I showed you before, but also you can adjust the contrast, you can adjust the saturation if you want to, the sharpness of the image, and also you can go down and adjust the shutter speed. And Elgato says they're also the first ones to give you the ability to be able to adjust the ISO as well on a webcam, so that's pretty neat. Then also you have the color temperature adjustments that you can do, and also you can activate the noise reduction. Now, you might be looking at this image being like, oh my God, you got to go back and change everything. Well, one good thing about this webcam is that you can choose to save the settings that you like onto the webcam itself because it does have flash memory. So basically, I have some settings that I started before I recorded this video, and if I wanted to go back to them, I can go ahead and hit refresh here, refresh here, and refresh here, and yeah, you can go ahead and put that back on, and then now you can kind of see the image as it was right before I started. And so this is good for someone who likes to switch computers, maybe going from your desktop or to your laptop, or if you're switching between different applications, you can have those settings stored on the camera so you don't have to keep opening up the Camera Hub app to make sure you can get everything nice and right. But yeah, I'm liking the image coming out of this, and I would say compared to other cameras, it's a little bit less noisy compared to other webcams. And part of the reason for that is that right now I do have the noise reduction setting on, which works. It does make things a little bit softer, especially around my face. But if you turn that off, you see things do get a little bit sharper. So that might be a little bit more of your personal preference. Now look, I have facial imperfections all over my face, so I kind of don't mind it being a little bit softer. And also too, you can see in the background here as I zoom in, you'll see that that noise reduction does kick in to take away from some of that noise you might get, especially if you do have the ISO up on this webcam. All right, so now let's talk about the lens for a second. So as I mentioned before, it doesn't have autofocus, so it is a fixed prime lens. So you have one fixed kind of range there for you to be in focus, and the lens itself is a full frame equivalent to 24 millimeters. And so let's go ahead and just see how much room you have to play here. So basically in the manual, it says you have about 12 to 47 inches is the optimum length for this. Now I'm about 37 inches away from the webcam, but I can get a little bit closer and I can actually be in focus here. And let me turn off the noise reduction to give me even more sharpness. So I can move back and I have a little bit of room to play around with. And just the advantage for this is instead of having autofocus, you don't have that focus hunting that usually happens with webcams. And then also too, a lot of webcams will allow you to turn off autofocus and you can adjust the focus to where you're like sitting, but you don't really have that same type of play like you get with this particular prime setup. And oh, I can't believe that I made it this far without talking about like resolutions and things. So basically this is a 1080p camera, so you can go from 540p, 720p, and up to 1080p, and all of those can do 30 frames or 60 frames per second. And you can adjust this right here in the Camera Hub software. And then also this does have an aperture of f2.4, so it's not quite like the f2.0 with the Razer Kiyo Pro, but still is low enough. And speaking of the Kiyo Pro, earlier I did open up Zoom and I actually just swapped between both of these webcams. And I have to tell you that I did like the video image coming out of the Facecam more. And that's because it practically gave me the same type of vibes as if I was like using the video camera on my iPhone, as far as like a webcam, which you can do in certain apps. So I really like that image. It was nice and clean and it just looked less webcammy, like you were getting from the Kiyo Pro and practically every other webcam that I have. Now with Zoom though, I did come across one issue, and that's when I was switching between the two webcams. Sometimes on the Facecam, it will kind of default the color or the exposure and all the settings that I had, and you can see it just went to a totally darker image. Now I did figure out when I just kind of opened up the Camera Hub again and just moved any setting just a little bit, it would kind of reset itself and go back to the settings that I already had. So this might be an issue of the save settings on the onboard storage of the Facecam not really talking with Zoom. This didn't happen on other streaming services that I use, so it might just be that, or it might be Zoom, I don't know, but I just came across this issue a couple of times during my testing. Now the Kiyo Pro does have an advantage with the field of view because you can go wider with that. So maybe you have a really dope background for your streaming setup. You can get more of that into the shot, where with the Facecam, you don't really have as wide of an option. But again, with the Kiyo Pro, you can choose to crop in and get in closer, just like I showed you with the Facecam. Then I also noticed that I really wanted that HDR from the Kiyo Pro on the Facecam, because if you are bringing objects close up to the camera, maybe you're like a makeup person showing off your latest makeup thing, or a tech person bringing a phone close, this will allow those highlights to be handled a lot better. So definitely I really appreciated that on the Kiyo Pro. And so look, to just put a button on this video quality section here, from all of the webcams that I have in the studio right now, in terms of just video quality, I would choose the Facecam over everything else that I currently own right now to make me look, you know, the best that I can on camera. But also too, another advantage of this being in the Elgato family of products is that this does work with the Stream Deck. And so if you don't know what the Stream Deck is, it basically gives you buttons to control different aspects of your computer, your software, your hardware. But with the Facecam, it allows you to have access to change things like the exposure, or you can actually zoom in and do like a dramatic zoom during your stream just by pressing the button, and just some of the other different controls or the manual controls that you have over the Facecam. Now you can have it at your fingertips with something like the Stream Deck. And the glass on this webcam is anti-reflective, so it's going to be good at reducing lens flare that you might get. And I did compare this to the Kiyo Pro, and you can see it does make a dramatic difference. So if your setup maybe has like moving lights or lights that kind of rotate colors and different brightness levels, this will help with that. And so with that, that wraps up my review of this Facecam. Look, straight to the point webcam, great video quality. I would have liked to have still seen a built-in microphone. I know I'm the type of person, a lot of you out there might not ever use it, but I still maybe would have liked to have it for a backup plan. But yeah, with this thing costing $200, I think it's priced competitively against other webcams that are promising this type of video quality, and I think it might outdo most of them on the market. So I'll leave a link down below if you want to check this out and pick one up for yourself. Make sure you do leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about the quality from this Facecam, and subscribe and like this video if you want to. So anyway, I'm wrapping up. I'm about to head out of here. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you later. Peace.